Good morning, writers. It's Mrs. Recor. I'm going to be teaching your writing lesson today. Today's day one of our virtual writing. We're going to be doing some small moment review. So, all this year, we've been writing small moments, which let's remember a small moment story is a story of something that really happened to you. Okay. So, it's not made up, make believe. Okay. So, here is what you're going to need for today. So if you look up at the title here, we have our first grade writing. It's day one, Monday, November 30th. You're going to need a pencil and you're going to need some scrap paper. Now, scrap paper is just any paper that you have laying around, lined, unlined, it doesn't matter. It can even be little, okay, with pencil. All right, first, let's take a moment to kind of talk about small moments. We already said they're things that really happen to you. They're also small moments. Okay, we don't call them large moments or big moments. Writers, a way that we like to remember it at school, and what Mr. Van Bergen and I have taught you is that it's like a little seed story. So let's take something huge like a whole day at school. Okay, from you don't want to write a story about when you got to school and you got your breakfast, you said hi to your friends, you washed your hands, you told Mr. Van Bergen or Mrs. Recor your lunch choice, all the way through reading rotations and recess and math class and lunch. You don't want to go through your whole day. You want to pick one little moment about that day. Maybe it was something funny like at breakfast time, you got a hole in the bottom of your cereal bowl. And that's the story that you want to tell. Okay, so we've learned how to take small moments and write them across 3 pages. Well, this week, Mr. Van Bergen and I want to slow it down and we want to review all the great things that we've done in writing this year and do one really good story where we concentrate on our personal best and we add lots of our different strategies, that we've been learning this year. So the focus just for today is to plan. Good writers plan things out. Just like Mr. Van Bergen and I, we plan for you guys every day what we're going to do. In fact, I planned for this lesson. We're going to plan for your story this week. So on my piece of scrap paper, my scrap paper is actually going to be on the computer so you can see me. So I'm going to type up some ideas that I have for some small moments. You're going to just make a list. Just write down. Doesn't have to be in complete sentences. In fact, we don't want it in complete sentences. We just want little words, a list of some stories that you could write. So let me get out of here, out of present mode so that I can type some ideas. So as I think about things that have really happened to me, they're things I really remember well. Okay. It's not something that I did when I was 4, because that's definitely not something I remember well. So as I think about school, I think one thing that we just did before we for our Thanksgiving break is, I know in Mr. Van Bergen's class and my class, we did a crew draw where I had so many crew tickets in my bucket and I got to pick names, and that was really fun and that was memorable. It stands out in my mind. So I could write a small moment about the crew draw in my class. I also think about, I have a puppy at home, Stanley, and he did something kind of funny on a walk. Every day I take him on a walk. So I could tell you about Stanley's walk. Okay, I'm not going to tell you about the whole day, just Stanley's walk. Another idea I have, I just had Thanksgiving. So I could tell, not about the whole day, not about me making the turkey, but actually us sitting down and eating Thanksgiving dinner. Another idea I have is getting our Christmas tree. And another story is about decorating our Christmas tree, because they were 2 completely different events. Getting our Christmas tree, right? I can tell about how we walked into the field and we picked it out and Charlie tried to cut it down, and that wasn't very pretty because he had a saw and and it was pretty sharp. Whereas if I wrote the story about decorating our Christmas tree, I would talk about how we tried to put the star on the top and it fell off. Okay, so those are two different things, even though they're two different events, two different small moments, even though they're both about our Christmas tree. And then there was not a very pretty event that happened to me this week. My son, my 12-year-old competitive son, Monopoly game with Charlie. Yep, some small moments don't always happen, don't always have happy endings like this one where I got beat really bad at Monopoly. So, gosh, how many do I have? Just sitting here with you for a minute, coming up with some ideas. I have 6 great ideas for small moments that I can write. Now, remember, we talked about how good writers plan their stories, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to pick one of those that I think I want to write about. Actually, there's a couple great ones on that list, so I'm going to keep this list handy. I think I'm going to write this time about Stanley's Walk. So I want you to take some time, look over your list, and pick one and that you want to write about this week. Okay. Doesn't mean you can't write about these others, and underline it. That means put a line under it, just like I did there. I'm going to do Stanley's Walk. Now, remember, there's a couple of different ways to plan your small moment story. Okay. I'm going to show you 2 different ways today. And then that's all we're going to do. Our lesson will be done. So I'm going to take my paper packet, and with the 3 pages, one way that writers plan is they touch the pages as they just kind of talk to themselves. And it sounds kind of like this. I was with Stanley on the bike path by my house. We were going for a walk. Stanley loves sticks. Today, he happened to find a stick that was so long and so big, it covered the entire sidewalk. I tried to take it away from him, but he would not let me. And on the final page, remember how we feel about the story? I laughed and laughed, and Stanley pranced like he was super proud. Okay, so that's one way to just plan your story. That's all you do. Another way to plan is to tell it across your fingers. First, second, and third. So watch as I do that. Again, I just kind of talk out loud, talk to myself. I'm going to tell you what my brain is saying so you can hear what I'm planning. First, I took Stanley for a walk. We were walking on the bike path by my house. Second, which is the second page, Stanley found a big stick that was way longer than him and longer than the whole entire sidewalk. I tried to take it from him and he wouldn't let me. He pranced along. And third, the final page would be how we felt. I laughed and laughed. Charlie was so silly. In fact, other people on the bike path saw him and laughed too. So there's the 2 different ways to plan. Okay. And let's see here. Let me move myself down. So today, when you're done with your idea list and your plan, and you've underlined, or you could even put a little star next to the one that you're decided to write about, we would like you to take a picture of your idea list and save it to your Seesaw journal. Okay, and remember, in your Seesaw journal, do not click the green done button, the circle. You want to click draft because it's only Monday, and your teachers we're going to see all of your finished journal on Friday.